everyone. My name is TEX. This is my little spot to share with you information of things that I talked about during the week with clients, questions people ask me, things like that. Today, I was thinking that I would share with you a particularly interesting question that was asked me by a client, point blank. Do you have any good suggestions for dealing with impulsivity? And as I started to answer the person, I realized that maybe I need to go back to that basic idea I always have: ask questions, gather information first, and then actually see if you're addressing the problem. Because I feel in this particular case, what the person was taking as impulsivity was actually a habit. So here's the situation. The person would say they blurt out, they will get upset at a parent or someone else in their life, and they will get angry and they will, say things that they wish they hadn't said. They will get angry and scream. They will get angry and just, fume, and then they will do things and they will lash out. And they consider this to be impulsive. Now, here's the thing. If you do this with everybody all the time, if you do this with some people some of the time, or if you do this with particular people at particular times, then you have something slightly different that may or may not be impulsivity. And let me explain. If you are, laughing and joking or whatever, and somebody says something and you just blurt the first thing that comes out of your mind impulsively, you have a thought and you blurt it out. That could be impulsive, or it could be your habit that you have been doing it for so long that you just don't even try to control it. You see where I'm getting at now? And in the case of maybe a parent, if you are used to that parent, or it could be with couples, if a couple's been together for a long time, the courtesy that you have with strangers or other people may not be showing anymore with your partner or your parent or your child. Now think about this. That means that with other people, you're not impulsive, or when you're comfortable, you tend to let it fly. Now you're getting it. The idea is you've gotten to the point where you might have not been impulsive at some point in time with this person who's your partner. And then you holler a little bit, you fuss a little bit, you get into an argument with them. And then the next time that you get into an argument, it's not like starting fresh. You will take it and amp it up right to where you was last time. It's the same way with smoking cigarettes, oddly enough. If you're a cigarette smoker and you've been smoking and you have like a 2-pack a day habit and you quit, and then years down the road, you pick up cigarettes again, you will not take years to get back to 2 packs a day. You will go back to 2 packs a day just like that. Same thing happens then with your rudeness or anger or yelling or aggressive posturing. All of those things that you mark as impulsivity may be habit. So first you have to figure out what it is you got going on. Is it really impulsive? And you go, what's the difference? The difference is if you're able to control what you say and act differently around other people, then that's not necessarily you being impulsive. It's you only acting that way with certain people because you either feel comfortable doing it to them or you've done it so many times, it's a habit. And see, if it's a habit, now we're talking about breaking a habit, not necessarily just dealing with impulsivity. Impulsivity can cover a lot of areas. It can, from doing things impulsively. Someone says, at a party here, wow, this is great, drink this, and you just drink it. You don't even think to go, what's in the cup? Or you might be somewhere with somebody and you see something that you want in the store, and I call it clipping. You're not You didn't set out to steal. You didn't plot and plan this great, theft escapade where you were going to go out and steal this item. You saw it in the store and you picked it up and you're going to put it in your pocket. Impulsive behavior. Usually it's in areas that will get you into trouble. A lot of times for kids in class, it's not being able to hold their answer in. The teacher asks a question, you're supposed to raise your hand, you get called on. Instead, they just blurt the answer out. And you can even see it when it's in their best interest not to, like the kids are playing, competing with each other in the schools. I watched this like a game show, and the other team, it'll be their turn to answer. And if they get the answer correct, they win. And the person on the other team will have impulse control issues, and the question will be asked and they'll blurt the answer out and give it to the other team. So see, you can see how that's impulsive. My question though is, when you're angry at your partner, your parent, your child, your friend, and you've been acting rude for a long time, is it now impulsive, or you've just gotten to the point where you don't care? Or it's a habit, you just do it all the time. It's your automatic setting when you talk to that person to just let it fly. And, the person I was talking to, I think they genuinely felt bad about having done that. That still doesn't make it impulsive. It just means that you have a habit. Now you feel bad about your habit. So break it down first to figure out what you're tackling. And you go, well, what's the difference? Well, if you're dealing with impulse, I know you don't like it. Here it comes. You got to work on mindfulness. You got to pay attention to what you're doing. You have to be able to focus on how you're feeling, and you have to slow your world down. The way I explained it to the person is I used to be extremely impulsive and would blurt. So what I had to start doing is if I'm sitting somewhere having a conversation, somebody asks me something before I answer, I just have to take a second. And there's 5 seconds for me to think before I open my mouth. Take a breath. Readjust yourself in your seat. Those are little things just to slow you down in conversation. Sometimes if you're the kind of person who when you go in a store, you're going to pick up things you shouldn't pick up, put your hands in your pocket. It slows you down. I'm serious. Put your hands in your pocket. That's an old one from being a kid, watching somebody tell their kid, put your hands in your pocket. It slows them from grabbing and touching things because they're just impulsively reaching to grab and touch things. You work on it, you slow it back. Now, if it's a habit, then you're doing it just because you want to do it over and over again, even if you don't consciously say you want to do it, because that's your natural pattern of handling things. So now it's even easier, even if you don't believe it, it's easier to redirect the habit. In other words, if you know that you are going to yell or scream at a person if you get upset, you have to pay real hard attention to the conversation, what you're saying, so that if that person starts to say things that will upset you, and you can have pre-programmed answers. If you've ever talked to a salesperson, you think, wow, they're slick, man, they got an answer for everything. Not quite, but close. They practice certain things to help them buy time or get to a situation. They practice, how they're going to say something. They get in front of a mirror, they get in front of a camera, and they repeat it and they practice it. And believe it or not, you should do the same thing. Practice when someone says something that's upsetting to you and you know that it's a further argument enhancer to get up and scream back at them and say, you can't talk to me that way. You upset me. Why do you do that? Okay. Practice saying something different. Practice using the I statements. The I statements are the I feel instead of you did this. Instead, it's coming back into it and saying, I feel very upset when I feel like, people are hollering. people are yelling. It's hard for me to focus and concentrate when someone talks that loud. See, now I didn't accuse. I stated how I feel. You can argue all you want about how I feel, but it won't get you nowhere because you cannot reach in me and truly know how I feel. The moment you start arguing about how I feel, then I notice that this isn't a discussion about what we need to do. This is a argument in which you want to prove me wrong, in which case I need to walk away. That being said, you practice those kinds of things. If you know that you're going to be talking to a parent and they're going to tell you that you should be doing things, go ahead and practice the art of sitting here and going, yes, ma'am. And just wait patiently for them to finish what they got to say. One of the things that came out in the conversation is the feeling that I want other people to respect me. I want other people to treat me as an adult or an equal. Well, here's the bad news. If it's your parent, you may be an adult, but they're still your parent. Odds are you're not an adult yet. If you're really having this problem, you're probably a teenager. Usually, it could be a kid. Now, you may actually have now hit the adult age, the ripe old age of that 19, 20 and all that. And I don't want to hurt your feelings, but you still got a little ways to go. You're still a teenager. And you're coming into the years where you have some things that are legal, but not totally legal, because notice it's 21 before you get all your rights. With that being said, then it's not a bad idea to think about, well, okay, they got a few years on me. Maybe they do know something, maybe they don't. Maybe I need to just give them a little bit of the respect that an elder deserves. And I know not everybody agrees with that, but I still do. If you've been on this earth longer than me, I figure, okay, just by sheer fact that you've been hanging around, you survived, I'll give you a little space. I'll give you a little respect for that. I won't let you be mean to me, but I'll give you a little bit of space there. You can play in that. And until you start stepping all over me, then I'm not going to get up and hassle you about it. I will allow you to talk first. I will allow you, and if you're older than me, it's an old habit. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. That's the Southern guy in me. And it's actually been beneficial most of my life. If you feel the other person truly isn't, respecting you and you're having a discussion, then instead of being angry and letting that overrun you, because again, see, now we're not talking about impulse. We're talking about your anger, your indignation, your feelings inside you are now overriding judgment. Remember what I said before, you got to bring emotions down so that rational thinking rises. The last part of this is eyes on the prize. I keep saying it again and again and again and again. Eyes on the prize. What do you want? If you're talking to someone and your only want is for them to respect you and you don't want anything, how did you get into this argument to begin with? You obviously want something, or they want something from you and you don't want to give it, which to me is pretty close to you wanting something. Now, if it's truly an argument in your mind or a discussion or, whatever about respect, then that's a different thing to handle. If it's about you doing what you're supposed to do, getting up in the morning, doing your work, doing your schoolwork, being where you got to be, obeying the rules and all that, that's not about respect. That's a different conversation. And if you haven't already hit that later on in life, you need to be able to distinguish, are we arguing about what's upsetting to me now about the toilet seat being up or down, or are we arguing about, do I feel respected? Because they're not quite the same. If you're saying that someone's actions means they don't respect you, you might be able to bring that in, but a lot of times the argument isn't about that. So you see how we've started to shift now from, is this impulse Or is this anger? And is this anger because you don't feel the other person's respecting you? Because maybe then you need to pull back from that and say, okay, tomorrow or this evening, can we talk about how I feel about our relationship? For right now, let's settle the budget argument that we're having or disagreement, or let's settle the who's doing the chores thing, and keeping them separate. Because when you start mixing your arguments up, then you're only going to get more volatile. And even if you get what you want, which is not to have to clean your room or whatever, if you don't feel respected, you're still angry. You need to be able to separate your goals with eyes on the prize. I want this. I also want that, but that can be in this discussion over here somewhere. This is the discussion I'm having now. See, this is more about the art of argument, and argument has been made into a dirty word. But if you really go back into it, the art of arguing is basically the art of persuading, talking, and discourses between people. It's not about screaming, hollering, and yelling. It's just about getting your point across. So I hope that's a good start. And we will rejoin this, and we will come back again and talk and do more specific stuff about impulse and more specific stuff about anger. Last thing is dividing this up again. If your impulsivity only happens with certain people, then you have to question, is that really impulsivity, or if I'm just having a habit with that person? If it only happens when you're angry, then do you have a problem with anger or impulsivity? Because if you're telling me that when you're not angry, you don't act like this, then I say we need to tackle the anger. Teaching you not to be impulsive is not the thing that we need to worry about so much now. It's all about figuring out how to get your anger levels down. We need to work on that. Okay. Hope that helps. I hope it gets you to start thinking about what it is you're doing when you're doing. Now you understand again why I say journaling is so important. Writing it down, paying attention. When you do things, you get a result you don't like. What were you doing? What were you thinking? What were you feeling? It's important to know so that next time you've got those warning bells so that you can cut the problem off before it gets too bad. Okay. Y'all have a great Sunday. I'll talk to you later. I hope you have a beautiful day. It looks sunny here. I'm fixing to go outside and see if I can get me a little of that sunshine in case you didn't realize it. This old boy is just a little too pale. Y'all take care now. Bye-bye.